Imagine sitting in a centuries-old pub, savoring your drink, when suddenly the air chills, footsteps echo in empty halls, and a shadowy figure appears. These haunted pubs across England hold more than just history. They hold restless spirits. 1. Hood Arms, Kilve. In the quiet village of Kilve, Somerset, the Hood Arms pub holds a dark, unsettling reputation. This 16th century building is home to a restless spirit, a man who tragically died in a drunken brawl over 3 centuries ago. Locals whisper that his ghost roams the pub, particularly in the cellar where his life was violently taken. The air in the pub often changes without warning. One moment, a cold draft sweeps through, and the next, there's the unmistakable sensation of an unseen presence brushing against your skin. Visitors report a sudden drop in temperature whenever the ghost draws near, as if he thrives on fear. One terrifying night, a guest heard whispers rising from the cellar, followed by the sound of a glass shattering. When they ventured downstairs to investigate, the cellar door slammed shut behind them, and the whispering abruptly ceased. Those unlucky enough to encounter this spectral presence often describe a chilling, unnerving atmosphere. 2. King Charles Inn, Poole. Located in Poole, the King Charles Inn is a historic 17th century pub that claims to house the ghost of King Charles I, the monarch executed in 1649. Legend tells that King Charles I, angry and frustrated by his untimely death, still seeks vengeance from beyond the grave. Many guests report strange, unsettling experiences, faint footsteps echoing in empty corridors, an eerie feeling of being watched, and mysterious cold spots that appear without explanation. One particularly chilling encounter occurred when a guest awoke to find the ghostly figure of a man, dressed in royal robes, standing at the foot of their bed. His piercing eyes seemed to judge them, and when the guest blinked, he vanished, leaving behind only a lingering, icy chill. The ghost of King Charles I continues to haunt the inn, his frustration and anger as potent as ever. 3. Carpenters' Arms, Great Wibraham. The Carpenters' Arms in Great Wibraham is infamous for the restless spirit of a former carpenter who tragically died in a 17th century accident. Locals believe his ghost still haunts the pub, often seen wandering the halls dressed in work clothes, carrying his unfinished tools. His spirit is thought to be bound to the pub, forever seeking to complete the work he left behind. Guests frequently hear the heavy sound of footsteps on the wooden floors, sending chills down their spines. One night, a guest was quietly enjoying a drink when they saw the figure of the carpenter standing behind them. His shadow stretched unnaturally across the wall. When they turned to speak, the figure vanished, leaving behind an intense, oppressive presence. The air in the pub often feels thick with unease, making it a truly unsettling place to stay. 4. Llandoger Trow Inn, Bristol, Somerset. The Llandoger Trow Inn in Bristol, one of England's oldest pubs, has a chilling reputation. It's said to be haunted by the ghost of a pirate who was executed for his crimes centuries ago. The inn has seen many sailors and pirates pass through its doors, many meeting grisly ends. Guests often report seeing a shadowy figure of a man in a tricorn hat appearing at the bar or walking through the darkened corridors. The figure vanishes as quickly as it appears. More unsettling, however, is the sound of chains rattling, followed by eerie, low laughter that seems to linger in the air. One guest reported hearing heavy footsteps behind them, but when they turned, no one was there. The ghost's presence is felt strongly throughout the inn, especially by the fire where sailors once gathered, and some claim to feel his eyes watching them even in the quietest corners. 5. George and Pilgrims, Glastonbury. The George and Pilgrims Hotel in Glastonbury is an ancient pub steeped in history and haunted by the ghost of a monk. This monk, according to legend, died under mysterious circumstances after breaking his vows. His spirit is said to walk the halls of the pub, his face obscured by the hood of his robe. Many guests report the eerie stillness that descends upon the building whenever he is near. The air grows unbearably cold, and visitors often feel a sense of dread. One night, a guest was awoken to find the monk standing at the foot of their bed, silently watching them. When the guest looked away and then back again, the figure was gone, but the lingering chill remained. The George and Pilgrims is one of the most haunted places in Glastonbury, with many visitors finding themselves glancing over their shoulder, wondering if the monk is near. 6. New Inn, Coleford, Devonshire. The New Inn in Coleford, Devon, is known as one of the region's most haunted pubs with a tragic history. The ghost of a man who was murdered during a bar fight haunts the building, often seen pacing the hallways, especially when the pub is empty. One guest reported hearing a loud crash late at night, followed by the unmistakable sound of sobbing. When they investigated, the pub was eerily silent. Other guests have heard the heavy footsteps trailing them up the stairs, only to turn around and find no one there. The sensation of being watched is palpable, with many describing a creeping sense of dread that seems to linger long after the ghost has passed. The New Inn remains a place where the restless spirit of the murdered man continues to roam. 7. Old Inn at Widecombe, Newton Abbot. In the village of Widecombe in the moor, the old inn is said to be haunted by a young woman who was tragically murdered over a century ago. Her spirit is often seen standing near the fireplace, her face pale and gaunt, or staring vacantly down the hallway. Some guests report hearing soft, desperate cries late at night, only to find nothing when they investigate. One particularly disturbing encounter occurred when a guest opened their door to find the woman standing in the hallway, her form flickering in and out of existence. The atmosphere in the pub is heavy with sorrow, and many claim to feel an overwhelming sadness whenever they stay there, as if the ghost of the murdered woman is waiting for something, or someone. 8. Acorn Inn, Evershot. The Acorn Inn in Evershot, Dorset, is haunted by the ghost of a Victorian woman who died of a broken heart. She is said to wander the inn, still waiting for the man who never returned. Guests often report hearing soft crying sounds late at night, accompanied by the faint, haunting scent of lavender. One particularly unsettling encounter involved a guest lying in bed when they felt an icy touch on their arm. When they turned, they saw a woman standing at the foot of the bed, her face expressionless. She vanished almost instantly, but the scent of lavender lingered in the air. The atmosphere in the inn is thick with sorrow, and many guests claim they can still feel her presence long after she has disappeared. 9. Royal Inn, Lyme, Regis. The Royal Inn in Lyme, Regis is haunted by the ghost of Claude Duval, a notorious highwayman executed for his crimes in the 17th century. His ghost is often seen walking through the inn's hallways, still dressed in period clothing. Guests frequently hear the sound of horse hooves in the distance, followed by the rattle of chains. On several occasions, Duval's shadowy figure has been seen standing at the end of the bar, only to vanish when approached. One guest reported hearing footsteps behind them, and when they turned, Duval's figure appeared at the bar, silently watching. The atmosphere in the pub is tense, as if Duval's vengeful spirit is still keeping watch over those who enter. 10. Castle Inn, West Lulworth. The Castle Inn in West Lulworth, Dorset, is haunted by the ghost of a former castle guard. This tall, imposing figure is said to patrol the halls of the inn, especially late at night. Guests often hear the clinking of armor and the sound of footsteps echoing on the wooden floors. One guest took a photo of the pub's bar, only to discover a ghostly figure standing in the background. The figure appeared translucent, almost as though it hadn't fully materialized. Another guest felt an icy presence beside them while sitting in a corner of the pub, so intense that they had to leave immediately. Many believe that the ghost of the castle guard is still keeping watch over the inn, unable to rest until his duty is fulfilled. 11. The Feathers Inn, Ludlow. The Feathers Inn in Ludlow, Shropshire, is haunted by the ghost of a woman in black, believed to be a former maid who tragically died in the inn. Her ghost is said to wander the building, often heard crying softly, or felt as an unseen hand brushing against guests' shoulders. The most unsettling encounters happen when her ghostly figure is seen standing by the fireplace or near the windows, gazing out at the street. One guest reported feeling an icy coldness in a quiet corner of the pub, only to turn and find the woman standing at the end of the room, staring at them intently. Moments later, she vanished, leaving behind a lingering feeling of unease, as though her sorrowful presence never truly left the space. 12. 5 Bells Inn, Wycombe. The 5 Bells Inn in Wycombe, Hampshire, is infamous for its violent past and haunted reputation. The ghost of a man who was murdered in a courtyard brawl is said to haunt the pub, often appearing in the hallways, pacing or knocking on doors. Guests frequently hear strange noises, footsteps following them, or chains dragging across the floor. One night, a guest heard loud banging outside their door, only to open it and find nothing. But the sounds continued, echoing through the building as though the restless spirit was seeking something or someone. Many believe that the ghost's restless spirit lingers, determined to avenge the violent death that still haunts the inn, its dark energy ever present in the walls. 13. George and Dragon Inn, West Wycombe. The George and Dragon Inn in West Wycombe is shrouded in dark history, linked to notorious smugglers who once frequented the pub. The ghost of one smuggler, betrayed and killed during a raid, is said to haunt the inn. Guests often report hearing low murmurs and footsteps echoing in the hallways, accompanied by a thick, suffocating sense of dread. One guest described feeling a cold, clammy hand grab their wrist while sitting alone in the pub. When they turned around, no one was there, yet the sensation lingered, heavy and palpable. The atmosphere grows tense, with many visitors claiming they can feel the vengeful smuggler's spirit watching them from the shadows, forever seeking to reclaim what was taken from him. 14. Who'd Have Thought It In, Milton Combe. The Who'd Have Thought It In Milton Combe, Devon, is known for its eerie atmosphere and haunting presence. Locals believe the inn is haunted by the spirit of a young woman who was trapped during a violent storm and never left. Her ghost is said to appear by the windows, gazing out as if waiting for someone. Guests report hearing soft knocking on the door late at night, only to find no one there when they open it. One guest described hearing footsteps and heavy breathing in the hallway, but when they checked, they found themselves alone, the unsettling sound still echoing. The woman's spirit is thought to be forever bound to the inn, waiting for a loved one who never returned, her longing so intense it fills the air. 15. Scole Inn, Dis, Norfolk. The Scole Inn in Dis, Norfolk is a place of terrifying hauntings, with several restless spirits believed to reside there. Among them is the ghost of a priest murdered by thieves, his anguished spirit still lingering in the inn. Guests frequently report hearing murmurs or chanting in the dark, followed by a sudden drop in temperature. One guest saw a figure dressed in old-fashioned clothing standing by the bar, his face twisted in agony. When they attempted to speak, the figure vanished, leaving behind an unsettling silence that felt oppressive. Many visitors feel an overwhelming sense of being watched, and some even report cold hands brushing against their necks as they walk through the pub, as if the spirits are still very much alive in their eternal unrest. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more. A big thanks to those who shared their spooky stories to make this video possible. If you know any real haunted places, leave a comment below.